what we will doing is that we will take each and every basic things, right? And then gradually we will go to the all those advanced topics as well, so that you able to understand everything from start to end, right? So just focus on what I say, focus on what I do as a practical. So what we are going to do is that, of course, we will go through the theoretical and as well as a practical of each and every concept, so that you are getting 100% clarity by mix of theory and practical. So 100% practical, 100% theory. So it will have both. Now, before we start, because we all know we are going to learn a SQL server, but I would like to take few minutes to understand about a database, right? But because whenever you talk about a database, so there are many database, not just a SQL. For example, some of you have already confirmed that, okay, you worked on Oracle. So Oracle is another database. Similarly, SQL is one database. There are other databases as well, right? Maybe you have heard of MongoDB, DynamoDB, Postgre, MySQL. So there are many much more database which exist in the market. And here we are going to learn about a SQL Server. So we'll take few minutes to understand what is database, why we actually use a database, why we need a database, right? And then even in the database, there are different types of database, right? So when I say types means like a relational database and NoSQL database. So anyway, I'm just going to talk about all of this, right? To make you understand at least a basic concepts of database, so that wherever, let's say, you are going or you are in discussion, so you're able to understand those discussions, right? Although you are going to learn on SQL only, but at least you should have the understanding of, okay, what all databases are, right? And uh, in which scenarios we use which kind of databases, right? So that's how we are at least going to understand bit around, right? And then we will start on the SQL database. Okay. So first of all, let's understand what is database and why we need database, right? Let's try get that answer. So if I ask you very simple questions that, okay, if you have a information, right? If you have any information, that information could be your, for example, your personal information, your name, email, mobile address, anything. Or let's say it could be your professional information, right? For example, your company, your job title, your KRA, those kind of informations, right? You may have your family information. You may have your, let's say, shopping information. You may have your friends information. So all in all, if you just look at your personal life itself, you have too many things, right? As an information, and what you would like that, okay, if I want to manage my information somehow for a long term, right? When I say long term means, let's say today I know few things, but maybe after some time I may forget, right? I may forget. So how I can manage all those information? Or let's say I want to go and modify my information, right? That means there are some enhancement required to those informations, or this is some updates required. So I want to update those informations. So all in all, whatever the information you have, anything, right? Any information, if you want to manage that information, right? When I say manage that information means I want to read that information anytime. I want to update that information anytime, right? When I say update means, let's say I want to change something, or let's say I want to make some new informations, right? So wherever I'm managing my information, I may have some new informations which I want to manage. Or let's say I may have some informations which, let's say, obsolete. That means there is no relevant of that information. So I want to just remove those information. So these are the basic things which you definitely want, that whenever I have some information, so I should have a flexibility to manage that information in terms of read and write, right? So to manage that information, we need something, right? Now you may say that, okay, to manage that information, I can use MS Word. In Word, I can put my information and manage it. You can also say, I can put my information in Excel. I can put my information in Notepad, Or let's say nowadays you can use any shared drive as well, right? For example, Google Drive, Drive. There you can put your all the files and folders, right? Or let's say in manual, you may say that okay, I can go and manage my information in my notebook as well, right? So I have my notebook, I have my diary, I can go and I can just use my pen and copy to manage my information. So answer is yes, you can. But think of the scenario that if you have millions of record, right? And in real time, you want to work with those informations. Very basic example. Think of if you have a notebook, right? For example, you have a notebook and you say that, okay, I will manage my information notebook. In your notebook, if you have 100 page and suddenly someone say, okay, please tell me this information detail. For you, it will be very difficult to find, right? Because you don't know particular that information is on which page. So you need to maybe find, you need to go one by one each pages to look at, okay, is this information here? Or let's say if you're managing same thing in Excel. Now think in Excel, if you have a, let's say 20 seat, right? In within one Excel, there is a 20 seat. Within that 20 seat, it's sometime you want to find certain record, or let's say you want to combine two of a seat records, or let's say you want to do any mathematical logic. So it will be very difficult for you to manage, right? If you have a huge list of data set. That is one. Second, if let's say there are multiple source, when I say multiple source means think of that there are multiple platforms, or let's say along with you, your family members also want to manage the same informations, right? So that means there is a information which you think that I want to manage centrally. And then there are multiple persons who can work on those same informations like a concurrent, right? Will that be very easy to do with the Excel, do the with the Word, with the let's say notebook? Answer is no, right? That is why there comes a database. That whenever you have information and you want to manage that information at the real time from multiple sources, by multiple persons, by multiple platform, and if you have a million, trillion, doesn't matter what is the size of data, you can use a database to put your information there. And then each database engine having their own standard to work with that database, right? So like SQL Server having their own standard to manage that information, Oracle have their own standard to manage that information, MySQL have another their own standard, and so on, right? But that is what exactly database means. That whenever, very simple concept you need to keep remember, whenever you have information, when I say information means any kind of information, but in terms of huge list of information you have, right? And then you want to manage that information from various sources, multiple platform, multiple peoples who want to actually work real time, right? Immediate actions, immediate, I want to read, immediately I want to write, immediately I want to, let's say, do the calculation between the informations. All of this you able to manage by using a database. Everyone clear, guys? What is database and why we need database? Okay, awesome. So now we understood a database, right? Now, as I said earlier, there are many databases in the market. So I will not go into the many database, but what I'm going to tell you here is there is a type of database. That is what you need to know. When I say type means there are two type of database. One is called RDBMS. Another is called NoSQL, right? Okay. So what I was saying that there are two type of database. Whenever you talk about a database, that okay, I understand database. Now there are two type of database and there are various regions and various scenarios in which you decide to use which database type. So first one is RDBMS, that is Relational Database Management System. Second is NoSQL, that means no structured query language. Now, what is this means? That means what is a RDBMS and what is a NoSQL? Let me hope you guys can see my Excel sheet now, right now, right? Okay. So first one, we are going to see, let's say RDMS, RDBMS. Let's understand what is RDBMS means. So as I said, RDBMS is Relational Database Management System. That means whenever, as I said, what is the use of database? To manage the information, right? Very basic thing, that basic introduction of database is to manage the information. So how should I know I should use RDBMS database or I should use NoSQL if I have information to manage? So RDBMS says whenever you have information which is actually having a relation between the information, right? Again, I'm quickly repeating, guys. And that's what you see. The name also explain Relational Database Management System. Means whenever you have information which having a relation in between, that means the information is actually depend on one another, right? Then you will say that my use case is to use RDBMS database for that particular information, right? Now, if there is a relation, right? Whenever I say that, okay, there is a relation between the information means, then the information should be very structured, right? So that you able to manage the relation. So in another term, you can also say our DBMS database is actually a structured database. Means you manage all your information very structured way. And then you also able to define the relation between the information, right? So very simple example now I'm going to show you. Whenever I say relational, it manages a data in very structured way. When I say structured way means, think of, let's say, if I put it here name, or let's say email, or let's say mobile, age, something like that, right? Or let's say height. So now let's say this become my kind of information identification. Now if I here start putting a value, let's say Amit, for example, amit@gmail.com, some mobile number, age, height, let's say something, right? Similarly, let's say Sumit. Similarly, again, I'm putting some informations. Now let's say something. So now here, if you look at just this section, right? If you look at this section is very clear, right? It is giving very clarity that, okay, what is all information says. Now, top of this, if I just give the name of it, so overall, so let's say this become my information, right? Then here I say that, okay, this information in my, let's say, employee information. So that means even I have given the name of the information that, okay, what is this information? This is employee information. Within that employee information, this is my name, this is my email, this is my mobile, this is my age, this is my height. This is what called as a structured information, where your information is divided into very clarity with the very clear information that, okay, what is my information bucket? That is employee information. Within that bucket, what is my other information? That is a name as a column, you can say. Similarly, email, mobile, age, height, right? Now, so this become my one bucket, right? This become my one bucket. That means one single bucket of information. Now think, there could be another informations as well, right? So for example, if this is an employee information, now employee may have other information like their KRA, right? Let's say key role and responsibility. So I can say that, okay, I have my other information bucket, let's say employee KRA. Now again, I have name, then let's say KRA, something like that, right? So Amit may have a KRA, let's say, for example, quality coding. Again, Amit have another KRA, let's say optimized DB, something like that, right? Similarly, Sumit may have another KRA, that okay, quality coding, something like that. That means one employee may have a multiple KRA, something like that. I may have another informations. And again, I'm giving that information name as employee KRA. So that means here I'm managing, let's say, employee information, but within that employee information, what I'm doing, I'm having one bucket as a employee information where I'm managing employee personal information. I have another bucket where I'm managing, let's say, employee KRA. I may have third bucket, for example, let's say employee attendance. Right? Where I say again, name, and then attendance date, something like that, right? Where I say again, Amit, for example, 24th Feb, Amit, say 25 Feb, similarly, Sumit, I say 24th Feb, something like that I can manage, right? So this become my, again, third informations. So that means in overall, if you look at what I'm trying to do here, this overall is kind of employee informations, right? Generally, you manage in any of a employee company. So let's say if there is any company, organization, so you may think that within that organization, there are these kind of details, right? That, okay, there is employee, their personal information, their KRAs, their attendance, and similarly, there could be any other information as well related to appraisal or anything else. So first thing is, if you look at all these thing is, if you look at all these information is very structured, right? I'm defining the bucket name, then inside the bucket name, I'm giving the each and every column name so that it is very clear that this is actually name, this is email and something like that. Same goes here, same goes here, right? Here, if I have a, let's say one to many. So here, if you look at, this is kind of what? Unique record, right? So that means in this bucket, always have unique information, one employee, one record. But in this table, if you look at, they're having one employee, but multiple record. So I'm making that information in very structured way. So here I am not repeating, but here I am repeating. Similarly, here also I am repeating, something like that. So that means what if you feel this is giving me kind of a structured data. Now within that structure, another thing we learn that is relation, right? That whenever you talk about RDBMS, it is relational database management system, right? So whenever you say relational, that means within the information, there is a dependency. When I say dependency means, now if you look at, we have three different bucket, right? Employee information, employee KRA, employee attendance. All three bucket having dependency in all, right? Why? Think of if someone say, hey, tell me overall Amit personal information and their KRA. What you will do? You will come in this bucket and you will read Amit personal information. Then in this bucket again, you will come and you will read Amit KRA. Means if you look at, there is a dependency, right? So you are reading Amit information. So trying to find the Amit from this bucket as well, from this bucket as well. Similarly, if someone say, I need attendance also, then you will come this bucket as well and you will find it. So now on what basis you will find it, right? So whenever someone say, I want to know the Amit information, on what basis you will find it? So in this structure, you can say, I will find basis the name, right? Because name is common across my all three bucket. That what you can see, right? That I can find the information basis name because that is a common across all three bucket. So this become a kind of relation between the tables, right? That is called relational database management system. But in general, what happened? That you do not repeat name in all the columns. Why so? Because tomorrow the employee name can change, right? So for example, by mistake, Amit had just added Amit, but it was actually, let's say, Amit Kumar. Now you need to update this name in all the columns, right? Right? Otherwise, this name will mismatch. So here is Amit, here is Amit Kumar. So what it follow is generally you add kind of ID. So I say that, okay, I may have employee ID, right? And then here I can have, let's say, okay, 101 ID, 102 ID. Then here also I will have my employee ID, 101, 101, 102, something like that, 101, 101, 102. Now this become that, okay, you don't really need to worry about name is changed or name is not getting changed, right? Because your information is getting managed. Getting, guys? So this is how you can understand that whenever anyone talks about relational database, two things you will tell. One is you manage a relation between the informations, right? And that's what we have done it here. If you look at, right? And of course, we will going to learn in detail about this RDBMS because SQL Server is RDBMS type. So we will going to learn in detail overall, right? But yes, of course, we don't need this name here. Of course, that's right. We don't need this name here. That's right. It will come here like this. So this will become like this. So in general, RDBMS, as I said, very simple concept you need to remember. One, whenever you have information where you are having the data in terms of dependent to each other, right? And your information very structured, then you will use RDBMS database type. And as I said, there are multiple databases. SQL Server is one of RDBMS. Similarly, MySQL is also RDBMS. Oracle is also RDBMS. PostgreSQL is also RDBMS. So all these databases are RDBMS type. And we are going to learn one of this, that is a SQL Server. So we will understand detail much more on the RDBMS type, but currently you need to know just that, okay, what is the RDBMS type if anyone asks.